truth about relationships. Okay, what is the truth about relationships? We get into relationships and each person has their own personal reason why they're in the relationship. So the truth about the relationship is that there are two truths about a relationship. Not often, very, very often, one person believes that the other person is on board with the other person, and the other person believes that the other person is on board with them. So there's some kind of discord, upset, confusion as to what is really wanted in the relationship. So the truth is in two parts. Now, one person will often, commonly, feel that the other person is not fulfilling the truth of their relationship. Now, this is where we have the commonly known argument or discord in a relationship where somebody's called a liar or you didn't do what you promised or whatever. When sometimes we don't really promise these things, we just accept that somebody wants something different to us, but because we like being with the person, we kind of go along with kind of what they want in a way which blurs the lines, because then somebody isn't telling the truth about what they want, meanwhile the other person knows exactly what they want and their truth is overbearing the entire relationship. So when I say two truths, there are two truths, because neither person is lying. It's just that one person gets to express exactly what they want, meanwhile the other person holds back. Possibly because what they actually want conflicts with what the other person wants, and they enjoy being with the other person but don't exactly know what they really want overall, so they go along with it. Now, this is how problems start, because when somebody in a relationship is very open about what they actually want and what their expectations are, and the other person's going along with it, somebody's kind of putting up with something that they don't really want. So sooner or later, just like steam, it's gonna seep out. Okay, it's going to come out. You can't keep a lid on steam. It does come out. So if the other person in the relationship is not being authentic to themselves and is holding it down and silently putting up with stuff, meanwhile the other person is overbearing, the steam will ooze out the top of the jar. And this results in somebody calling somebody else a liar because they didn't fulfill the other person's needs. Because often we're in relationships, we want somebody to fulfill the need for us and make us feel better. And by doing that, we're putting our happiness in the hands of somebody else, hoping that they do what we want them to do. Meanwhile, they have something going on for them. And they may not have been honest because the needs and wants of the other person were so vivid and so loud, they didn't feel that they could, or didn't want to, or have only just discovered really what they want. So this is where the problem arises in the two truths. But there's one truth which is louder and overbearing, which therefore makes the other truth look like a liar. So hence we have the problem in relationships. Somebody isn't being completely clear about what they want, and the other person is being very clear about what they want. Now, just because one person is clear doesn't mean that the other person who isn't clear is wrong. It just means that they haven't found a platform to communicate clearly how they really feel for all sorts of things. Fear of rejection, fear of lots of different things. And this is where we get into our own problems and we bring them into our relationships. So the truth about relationships is this: there is no truth about relationships, because there are two truths in a relationship, and you'll never get to the truth of a relationship because two people have two different perceptions and two different ideas and two different ways of communicating, which therefore means that the relationship is not based on one person's thoughts. It's two people. And this is where we can come into conflict, because everybody has their own mind. We're all human beings. We're fallible human beings, and we're open to change. And this is a problem, because when we're in a relationship, we expect the other person to remain the same. And this is the truth about a relationship. You will never remain the same. You will constantly be evolving and changing and enhancing and moving and shifting and shaping, because that's life. And when we rely on the other person to be the same so that we can fulfill the need that we have within our relationship, we lose the relationship. And then we don't accept that this person is a person and is a fallible human being able to make mistakes just like we are fallible and imperfectly perfect. And we can change too. And we do, whether we like it or not. But sometimes we hold on to an idea really tightly, hoping that we get the approval of society and approval of others, particularly with our relationship. So what's my point? Well, if we stop demanding and expecting from others what we need to feel good about ourselves within our relationships, and accept them for fallible human beings and ourselves for fallible human beings, and accept that things can change and that they have a right to change whether you are married or not, we will have less discomfort and less stress because we will be open and accepting. And that is actually the truth about a relationship. When you are open and you are accepting and you're truthful about yourself and accepting of the fact that the other person's truth can change, because we're human. That's what we do. So what's my point? Well, if we stop demanding and expecting from others what we need to feel good about ourselves within our relationships, and accept them for fallible human beings and ourselves for fallible human beings, and accept that things can change and that they have a right to change whether you are married or not, we will have less discomfort and less stress because we will be open and accepting. And that is actually the truth about a relationship. When you are open and you are accepting and you're truthful about yourself and accepting of the fact that the other person's truth can change, because we're human. That's what we do.